Do I really need to say the name of the channel, though? I mean, they know where they are, though. Like, I don't understand how it helps the algorithm. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Rusch guitar pedal channel. Welcome to the channel. So today we have a new pedal, actually. It's the Signal Blender in Stereo by Old Blood Noise Endeavors. Now, I'm really excited about this because they sent it to me and asked me to demo it. So yes, they did send me the pedal. I did not receive any talking points or any crap like that. I'm going to say what I want about it. I will give you a spoiler alert, however. It is really cool and really interesting, and it will probably end up on my pedal board right after I'm done with this video. All right, let me give you a quick overview of the pedal before we start. So it is stereo, but it can be mono. It has phase switches and trail switches on the front. It is MIDI capable, so it has a lot of MIDI functions. It is 2 main channels plus a clean channel. It does internally power scale from 9 volts to 15 volts. Enjoy my ignorance when I say I'm not totally sure what that means, but I'm pretty sure it has to do with the extra headroom that this pedal has. And that was one of the purposes of making it. So the pedal has more headroom than you may be used to for a pedal of this nature. And yeah, I am really excited to show you this thing now. Okay, so here's how I have this set up. Everything is in stereo. Again, there's other ways to set up this pedal, but I'm gonna leave it in stereo for now, and we can talk about the other routing possibilities later. So anyway, TRS cable coming in, TRS cable leaving. I have 2 stereo effects in the loop. So loop A is only the dark star. And again, these are TRS cables going in and out of these pedals. Now, loop B is the Nobels Del-mini delay, and that, of course, is set for stereo out. Now, there are 3 foot switches on this pedal. So foot switch A obviously turns loop A on and off. And I do want to mention that these are momentary switches as well as toggles. So you can just hit it and it'll turn on. Or if it's off, you can hold it and it'll turn on temporarily while you're holding it down. Let's see if it's opposite with the toggle. Yep, and so if it's on, you can also hold it down to temporarily turn it off. And then of course B is the delay. So when you have them both on, and then, of course, the clean switch is your clean signal. Okay, let's talk about these phase switches. So this allows you to flip your phase. Maybe you want effects out of phase as well. So that's something you can always do. I mean, I wouldn't discount putting some of your effects out of phase because it might give you a sound that you wouldn't get otherwise. So just keep that in mind. Anyway, let's talk about these trail switches. So these will kill the send, but not the return. So you can get the tail of a delay or a reverb. The trail switches have this other functionality though that I need to explain, and it's a little bit confusing to me, but once you play with the pedal, it makes more sense. If the trail switches are off, then this pedal is true bypass, okay? And if all the sections are off, it's bypassing the whole pedal. Now, when you turn trails on say, channel A, what happens? When you disable it, clean comes back. Okay, right? So watch with B where I don't have the trails on. See, I turned it off and clean didn't come back on. But if trails are on, okay, so let's talk about the routing options for this pedal. This part is actually very important, and there are some limitations. Now, there's 3 main ways to use this pedal as far as the routing goes. You can't just have like a stereo loop in A and then a mono loop in B, and then it sums and goes out to stereo. That would be cool, but that's not how this pedal works. So let me give you the 3 scenarios. So the first one is full stereo, which is what we're looking at here. So that means we are coming in stereo, we're going out stereo. These 2 pedals are set up stereo, and we have TRS cables everywhere in the entire chain. And now we're getting into like, what's the big deal? Like, why even use one of these things? Well, here's the point. So the point is, for example, you can have a very big reverb. And then if you're running that reverb into a delay, or you're having the delay run into the reverb. So maybe I want some reverb in there, but I don't want all my, delay parts to be kind of muddled up with that. Or maybe I want the reverb to be big, but just a little bit of delay in there. And I still don't want the delay hits or the reverb hits to be hitting each other. So it gives you a lot of control over, the levels of the effects in relation to your main signal, and it kind of keeps them out of each other's way. You could mix and match a bunch of different effects in here and then run them into these loops. You can maintain the integrity of your clean signal, and you can maintain the integrity of the individual loops. So in other words, you don't have to stack everything on top of itself. Sometimes that kind of stacking is great, but sometimes it just turns into, it can be a little messy, or it can be a little convoluted, or you can run into like resonances and frequency problems. This does help mitigate that to a degree. And it's just like a creativity tool. Like you can do things with this parallel mixer that you would have to normally do with a DAW, as far as routing and as far as effects being split off from the main signal and then mixed back in and ignoring other effects. So there's a conceptual element to this type of pedal that's very important to understand. Now, the second method for doing this is you would open up the pedal. There's a dip switch in there that sets the pedal from stereo mode into mono into stereo mode, or MISO. And that way you can have a mono signal coming in and a stereo signal going out. Now, in order to keep it in that mode, though, everything must still be in stereo. So you have to have stereo effects and TRS cables everywhere, except for the input into the pedal. Okay, now we're into the final way to use this, kind of parallel mixer, which is a mono setup. So every cable is mono. The internal dip switch on this pedal is set to stereo, which may not seem intuitive, but that is what you have to do if you're using all mono. So I'm going in mono, I'm leaving mono, all the cables are TS cables, and all of these effects pedals are mono effects pedals. Now, there's two things I wanted to illustrate with this kind of scene here. First of all, enjoy the chaos and nightmarish cabling that happens when you start doing this. You know, the minute you start using these parallel mixers, you're going to need more cables. You'll need a lot of cables, and things can get messy and hard to organize. So just keep that in mind going forward. Like if you order one of these, just be prepared to buy more patch cables and maybe get them in lengths that you didn't think you needed before, because suddenly pedals are far away from the source that they need to get to. You know, I have to route all of this over here, all of this here. So just keep that in mind. Anyway, I have two loops set up for this. So loop A, I actually have the flat light flanger going into the Nobels overdrive. And then on loop B, I have my Caroline fuzz pedal, the Shigeharu, that's going into the Baklengs. That's loop B. And then of course we have our clean channel. You can also take sounds that normally would be very difficult to achieve with, like, outside of a studio and get them with this kind of setup live or while you're performing or whatever. Okay, so we have that. So let's put some clean in there to kind of clean it up. Let's listen to this other sound I have created, which I'm not sure is very compatible. Now, I'm not saying that guitar sound I just came up with there is everyone's cup of tea, but the idea is to talk about the creative possibilities that something like this opens up for you. It really, especially the more kind of complementary pedals you can stick into it. I mean, I actually very specifically took things that I think aren't necessarily, you know, like great fits here, because I wanted this to be a little challenging, where it was like, okay, can I take some kind of sounds that maybe don't stack that well and get them to where they actually stack in a decent way? And I think this does stack in a decent way. Okay, there you go. That is the stereo signal blender. Now, let's talk about the form factor, because I think that's really important, and it's noteworthy because I think Old Blood Noise Endeavors has done something with their form factor that I haven't seen anyone else do, and it's really, really smart. So first of all, the labels on the back here are upside down if you're looking at the pedal from the back, but who the heck does that? Usually you're above on your pedal board looking down. So the labels are reversed. So as you're looking down around the back of your pedal, you can see the writing. It's a really nice little detail. In addition, the back of the pedal is slanted, so that allows easy access, and you can see the different jacks when they're stacked on top of one another. It's just a really, really great ergonomic way to do this. Like I'm very, very impressed with the thought that went into that design. Like that's something they did with the Dark Star, their newer one, and I think some of their other newer pedals, and I just hope they keep doing that because it's so good. The MIDI on the pedal is very cool. It does everything except for the MISO into stereo functionality. It cannot switch that, and it also won't switch the phase switches on the pedal. But I mean, I don't know. I can't see myself ever needing to switch those things with a MIDI controller, so that's totally irrelevant to me. Yeah, so MIDI functionality is great on this thing. As far as power supply goes, I do want to mention something. This pedal does take a 500 milliamp power supply at 9 volts. Now, that's a little heftier than you may have around the house. So if you do order this, just make sure you have something that can run it so that you don't get this cool new pedal in and then you can't turn it on. All right, that's it, everyone. Thank you very much. If you want to support the channel, please buy a copy of my album, which is out on Bandcamp, and there is a link in the description for you to purchase it if you'd like to. I'd be very, very grateful. Also, please hit the like button and subscribe. Those things really help the algorithm, and they help me keep this channel going. And that's it. I'll see you next time. Thank you very much.